Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And for anybody who has not seen this show before, the post-Geekout reaction is not a review. I will be having a review for this coming out later this weekend. The post-Geekout reaction is just our open, honest thoughts about the thing that we just watched, and that does include spoilers. So, if you have not seen the film yet, and you do not want me spoiled on anything, click off now, come back later for this review. And I am being nice enough to warn you guys that I'm about to drop some spoilers on you, unlike some people out there. Yeah, okay, I gotta just get this off my chest right now. Okay, as many of you know, I work in a comic book store, and I'm not gonna say what the store is, I'm not gonna say who this person was, but a reporter recently came into my store. They were doing an interview with some people. I don't even know what it was about because I was on Reggie the whole time. So I was just there doing my job on register. Then that reporter guy and a friend of his came up and they started buying some books, and I was just ringing them up, and they started talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was clear. This was Thursday, before the film even came out, before even the early screens at like 7 o'clock. This was like 3 in the afternoon. It was impossible for anybody who hadn't gone to a critic screen to see this thing yet. This guy had gone to a critic screening, and he started talking with his friend about this, and he goes, yeah, man, by the way, as I said, full spoilers are on at this point. He goes, yeah, man, Ego was really good in this, and the twist that they did with him was great. And I thought, okay, well, now I know there's a twist coming with Ego, but, you know, it was clear he was going to turn out to be the villain. Like, that was kind of obvious. So, all right, gonna let that one slide, gonna let that one slide. Then I keep bringing them up. And then he says, yeah, and the Stan Lee cameo was really good too. You know, there have been all those fan theories all this time about who Stan Lee was. And it was great that this cameo actually finally confirmed that. And I went, I know what the fan theories are. I know the fan theories about him being a Watcher. And you just spoiled for me what the Stan Lee cameo is, which would have been an awesome moment. However, I had heard some rumors online that that's what this is going to be. They were just rumors, and you confirmed it, but I'm only giving you like half negative credits for doing this to me. But let me just ring. So I'm ringing fast at this point. He had a stack of stuff. I was ringing fast, like get out here before you do this anymore. And I'm not going to come in here and tell the reporter, shut up in my store, because then the higher ups would come in and be like, why are you talking shit to the reporter guy? That's going to give us bad press. So I'm just ringing as fast as I can. And then they go, yeah, so do you think Adam Warlock is going to be in the Avengers film? I mean, he has to be. They keep setting him up in all these Guardian films. And that was like, okay, Ego having a twist to him, fine. I figured that was going to happen, obviously. The Stan Lee cameo, I had heard rumors online, so even though you spoiled it by confirming it, that thought would have been there in my mind anyway, so okay. Ain't nobody said anything about Adam Warlock in this film yet. No one! That is full-blown spoiler territory on this one. And you're just flouting, yeah, he's in the film right now. And I just stopped right there, mid-ringing him up, and went, oh, so he's in the film. So Adam Warlock is going to be in the film that no one in this store could possibly have seen yet, the film that has not come out in theaters yet. You're telling me he's going to be in there? And they just went, which is like the international laugh of, oh, I guess I kind of fucked that up. And I was like, I didn't even say anything else. I just turned into like a Muppet there, like an angry Muppet. So yeah, that sucked. But I will say, that's not the big spoiler of this.
No. They
took away some geeky enjoyment I would have gotten. I would have had a nice little geek out when that scene popped up. During the credits scene, when they popped up and like you've got those race of perfect people there, and one of them goes, yes, well, I have created something. And I'm like, it's Adam Warlock, show us Adam Warlock, I know he's gonna be in this, it's Adam Warlock. And then it shows the pod thing, it's like, man, if I had not had this spoiler, I would have loved that, I would have lost my mind. Totally just lost it there, just that joy, all that joy is gone from that scene there.
That being said, at least the movie itself was
But yeah,
not spoiled.
I had to get that out of my system. Yeah. But the big spoiler in this film, not spoiled for me. So I still got enjoyment out of that. And I will just go ahead and say, I'm going to not complain, but nitpick some stuff in this film. But I still liked it. I still liked it. Not as much as the first one.
Yeah, I have to agree.
And part of that is just simply because the first one was a huge surprise. Like, no one knew it was going to be that good. Whereas with this one, you're going in now with expectations. However, even if you're going in with expectations, I still can look at some stuff in here and be like, yeah, it's not quite doing as well as the first one. This is going to be a very odd critique of the film, but this didn't really feel like another Guardians of the Galaxy movie to me. It felt more like if after the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, they decided to turn it into a TV series.
Yes, I was getting that same feeling.
And this was like the very special season finale.
Yeah.
Like this was the big, like we resolve a whole storyline from a season's worth of stuff. And
yeah.
I kept trying to think like, what is it about this that gives me that feeling? And I think what it is that the characters act a lot more like cartoon, not cartoonish, because they were cartoons in the first one, absolutely cartoonish. But they act more like a fan version of them, like almost like the person who didn't write the first one,
like they're caricatures of themselves.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, like because in the first one, Star-Lord, you know, he's a guy who got kidnapped from Earth in the 1980s when he was a kid, and you look at him and it's like, yeah, okay, that talks like a guy who was a kid in the 1980s, and that's all he really knows. So okay, I totally get that, I understand that, perfect. In this one, all the 80s references in here, there's a few that work, but a lot of them to me, I was like, you're just putting 80s references in here because you know there need to be 80s references in a Guardians of the Galaxy film. Or it's like, Drax actually thought was kind of okay. Drax actually seemed a little bit different than the last one, but like, Gamora was just kind of there to like continue this will they won't they relationship.
Yeah, which I felt was unnecessary.
It's so like, I got news for you guys on the Guardians film. Ain't nobody here for that. No one goes to the Guardian film wanting to see the continued adventures of the Star-Lord Gamora love relationship. No one gives a crap about that. They're going in there for Groot, for Rocket, for the music, for the comedy, for Drax.
For action.
They're going in there for action.
Yeah.
They're going in there for like, I mean, if they're going in there for Gamora, it's for like the Gamora Nebula stuff, which I actually thought was good.
Yes.
That was actually pretty damn good. And you're like, the whole like, when they're just going at each other, I love that Gamora picks up a giant, like, the gun from a ship.
Yeah.
It's like a giant 1990s Rob Liefeld gun.
It's so funny. It's like, that's the kind of thing I would expect Rocket to do. So it's like, you can kind of see these characters rubbing off on each other.
Kind of, but also, Gamora was, like, her title in the comics was always the deadliest woman in the galaxy. So in the first one, I was like, well, aside from that scene where she's getting electrocuted and she keeps going, there's nothing really that makes me go, well, deadliest woman in the galaxy. This one, when she picks it up, I was like, that's it. Okay, you got it now. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, another thing is like she in the very beginning when they were fighting the monster that was trying to like steal the batteries, she pulls out guns instead of swords because like this thing is giant and there's no way a sword is gonna like do the trick and everything. So I was like, yeah, she knows her stuff.
Yeah, exactly. She knows what's going on. But yeah, so yeah, there are just so many things in here like. All the age references and the sense of humor in here, it all feels way more just like someone trying to write Guardians humor than what the humor in the first one was. And also like that continue like, it doesn't feel to me like many people grew in this one, which is aside from Star-Lord, because Star-Lord finds his dad.
Yeah.
But like, you know, Rocket seems like he's getting into trouble with the team. But then at the end, it's kind of resolved because Yondu gives him that speech.
Yeah.
But you still kind of get that feeling, yeah, next week you're going to be doing the exact same crap again.
No, like, it's like, I was worried that they were going to do the whole fall out and come together kind of routine that, like, every, like, group does. Group dynamic does, so. Yeah,
so I'm glad that they didn't do that where they all went their separate ways and they had to come back together again. But also, it really, I think the other reason why this feels more almost like a Guardians TV show to me is that they don't really go to a lot of places in this. Like, it didn't really strike me, but the first one, there's a quest that they're going on. They're going all over the place. In this one, it starts out with them guarding these batteries. Then they have to make a jump to hyperdrive. They crash land on a planet. Then Peter's dad picks them up. They're just on Peter's dad's planet the whole time. That's the rest of this film. I was like, huh. Yeah, it really does feel like you didn't have as many locations to shoot on this time, which it's all green screen. But if it was a TV show, it'd be like, we have these 3 sets for this episode. That's what we're doing. It's like, okay, all right. But, so that is my biggest complaint about it, is that, don't get me wrong, if this was a TV show, it'd be a damn good TV show. I'd be like, this is awesome. This is like, wow, they're doing a really good job with this Guardians TV show. But, like, you know, it's not the Guardians TV show, it's the Guardians movie. So I'm like, yeah, you know, a little bit more character growth could have been nice. Because aside from Gamora and Nebula, there really wasn't, like, that was it. That was the one bit of, like, growth, really, in this film.
Well,
also, like, Peter learned about his dad, obviously.
Yeah. It's like, I think, like, basically, I enjoyed the character interactions.
Yeah.
Like, the first movie had great characters, this sequel has great character interactions, so you get to see these different personalities, like, team up. Like, you never saw, like, Yondu or Rocket team up.
Yeah, that was actually, yeah, that's a real good point. It was like, oh, geez, they're really sitting down and going, look at move these characters. Like, who has not talked to who yet? Yeah, and also, like, all the character interactions with the new character, Mantis.
Yeah.
Mantis is awesome in this film. She is the breakout star. That's like, she is the Groot of this film. But yeah, all this stuff between her and Drax.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, because Drax is really one note in this film. But the only times in which he breaks that, in which he does show different sides of himself, is with Mantis. And I was like, that's what you need. Like, you needed that with these characters. Everybody has one moment in this film where they're not that joke, where they're not the caricature of themselves or others. With Gamora, it's the moment between her and her sister. With Rocket, it's the moment between him and Yondu. I'm about to sneeze.
Oh, bless you.
That was not a sneeze. I don't know where it went. It just, like, a sneeze was coming and it just stopped. Oh man, I'm scared. I don't know when it's coming back out. Okay, but with, yeah, Rocket's between him and Yondu, and with Drax is between him and Mantis. And then with Peter, really with Peter, it's only when, like, his dad admits to him that he killed his mom.
Yeah.
Which, that was a big spoiler, and I'm glad that part didn't get ruined for me. So yeah, it was, in that moment when he just, like, I love that he didn't sit there and be like, what are you trying to say, Dad? Like, the moment he hears that he killed his mom, bam! And I was like, okay.
Yes,
that says a lot about your character. That was a great character moment in there. So it's like, this is a film where everybody gets one good character moment. And I'm like, that's good. Like, that's, like, keeping me from, like, feeling bad about this film or feeling like everybody was too flat. But it's kind of like the least amount that you could have given me to make me think these characters are flat.
Yeah, it's like, I kind of felt like this movie focused more on, like, everybody except Peter, except Star-Lord.
Which is weird, because it's his film.
Yes, he is.
I thought the same thing.
He is the leader of the Guardians. It's like, I mean, obviously he shouldn't, like, hog the entire spotlight, but, like,
it's the story about him finding his dad and his origin story. It's like, yeah, man, this is your film. And I mean, and also, you're Chris Pratt, one of the most charming guys in Hollywood right now. And every time it cut to you with your dad, I was like, go back to the other guys. They're way more interesting in this film.
It's not that Chris Pratt's a bad actor. It's just like he wasn't written as well. His character wasn't written as well in this movie.
And a lot of it has to do with, like I said, everybody's a lot more of, like, a caricature of themselves. And it really comes down to, like, Star-Lord, you know, as I said, he's a guy who got abducted when he was in the 80s. He feels like a guy who grew up and all he knows of Earth is the stuff he enjoyed as a kid in the 80s. In this one, in the first one, all the 80s references were charming and they said a lot about his character. In this one, all the 80s references, I was like, dude, take it freaking down. We get it. Like, there's a moment in which he learns, because he is Ego's kid, he can actually, like, craft stuff on this planet, like make anything his mind can think of. He goes, oh man, prepare for a Pac-Man being held up by Skeletor and the Transformers and other references, and just like, it was reference. I was like, dude, I get it. I know that is his joke, but I can't imagine anybody, especially the guy I saw in the first film, instantly going to that. Like, I would imagine the guy from the first film going, I can create anything I want, and then he just creates like a statue of himself with a crown on and like a bunch of women like surrounding him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's the guy I knew from the first film. This guy, like, granted, he's meeting his dad, so maybe there's some kind of, like, a mental regression thing going on there. Because, like, I got to play catch with my dad.
Yeah, like, there actually was a scene where they were starting to, like, play catch with the energy ball. That
was cute. I actually thought that was pretty good. They set that up well, too, with the whole, like, I never got to play catch with my dad, But, yeah, it was like, yeah, so many of them, and like, this got a ton of laughs from people. But to me, it was a grown moment. It was at the end, they're both, like, powered up, they're gods, they can both control this planet. Ego comes charging at Star-Lord. He forms all these rocks around him into a giant statue of himself. He charges at his dad, and Star-Lord forms a giant Pac-Man going waka waka. And I was like, this was an intense, dramatic moment, and man, you needing to shove an 80s reference in there took all the tension out of that
It's like
scene.
the movie just stopped, looked at the audience, and said, "We are so sorry about Pixels. Here is a better Pac-Man cameo."
It was a better Pac-Man cameo, but it was also kind of like 80s.
But like at the same time, it kind of made sense because like Star-Lord said like all he could form was a ball.
Oh, you know what?
Yes, and you know what? Pac-Man is just a ball with a mouth.
All right,
so,
you know what? I gotta give you credit on that. Okay, I hadn't thought of that. This is why it's very important that I have you on these. Because you almost didn't want to do one this morning.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling very well, but I'm feeling better now.
So yeah, I was like, well, I guess I can do it on my own, but you always in every one of these remind me of something. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's true. Okay, never mind.
It's like, that's why I had to. I was like, I had to do this.
Yeah. So yeah, this really is like a film where everybody like, you know, like I said, it really does feel like a Guardians TV show, and the best way that I can sum that up is by going, I know I have a lot of fans out there who are fans of the Flash TV show, and I've been a huge fan of that too, but this is the season where I'm kind of starting to go like, all right, man, I've kind of seen enough of this show. And part of that is just simply because it's running into that problem that a lot of TV series have, especially like Villain of the Week TV series, where every single season, or every single episode is, we're all exactly the same way that we've always been, except maybe with some minor changes that have been built up over the course of a season, and we're just going to go up against whatever the threat is this time. But then Joe West, the dad, comes in to give us that one tearful speech and makes us all go, you know what? I just learned something about myself. Now let's go back to being the hero again. I'm like, okay, I love that on The Flash for numerous episodes, but I'm getting to that point where it's like, okay, man, I can't really do this anymore. That's exactly what this was. It was like, everybody is exactly who they are. They all get that moment in which their one father figure comes in and is like, I know who you are, boy. And there's like, okay, all right, yeah, one tearful moment. Because, by the way, that was me doing Yondu for anybody who was out there like, that's your Joe West impersonation? No, it's Yondu in this film. Because yeah,
Yondu was great in this film, by the way. Yes.
Man, I kept seeing like him on all the posters and like, this is the new Guardians. And Mantis, Nebula's joining the team, and Yondu's joining the team. I was like, I liked Yondu in the last one, but I liked Yondu as a side character.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to be a main character in the Guardians film. Man, he's one of the best things about this film. And especially, like I said, we go full spoilers on here. This is your final chance to tune out. Man, at the end when he dies, I was like, I know what you're doing. It's going to be like the sacrifice moment for his, you know, son figure there. But then, you know, they're going to get picked up by the ship at the end, and then he's going to wake up in the hospital. But no, he dies.
No, he dies.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. And it is a... But again, this kind of comes down to all the age references. There's a great joke with David Hasselhoff earlier in this film. There's a couple of great David Hasselhoff jokes earlier in this film. Then they bring it back and make the David Hasselhoff joke again. And I was like, dude, I was getting kind of choked up here, and now you're trying to shove another age reference in here. And I know that you set the David Hasselhoff thing up earlier, and it does kind of pay off now. But it's like, all right, now. But aside from that, I was getting choked up about this. Like, man, Yondu, a guy who was like, yeah, he's a fun side character. He broke out as the star of this film. Him and Mantis, it's their film. And a little bit of Nebula. Like, all the new characters to the team are really darn good in this.
Yeah, it's like, it's so weird. It's like all the main characters in the first film suddenly got the backseat, and all the side characters suddenly are in the front, and it's their turn to.
It's almost like in the first one they went, we got to make sure that we introduce these characters, and this one it was like everybody knows those characters. We got to make sure we introduce these.
Yeah,
characters.
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
I think I get this now. But okay, so
you know, it's like when you bring up David Hasselhoff, it's like the reoccurring thing with the first movie with Flashdance, or no wait,
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
he was the Kevin Bacon in this one.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Although they tried to make it Cheers, and I was, again, it was like, because they kept trying to go with the Sam and Diane thing, and I was like, again, no one's coming to this film for the Sam and Diane of Gamora and Star-Lord. Not even the comic book fans, because all the comic book fans are like, where's Richard Rider? Gamora should be with Richard Rider. Nobody cares about her and Star-Lord. I will get into more geeky references in a moment, but before we fully leave this film, let me also just say, speaking of new characters, Ego is one of the best villains I've seen in these Marvel films. Marvel, many people have always criticized the Marvel films for having really good heroes, but kind of crap villains. This is one of their better ones. First off, oh God, who played him? Kurt Russell. I really should have known that. By the way, Kurt Russell, the perfect choice to play Chris Pratt's dad in anything. That was great casting. But Kurt Russell in here, A, was really giving it his all, but also it's like, okay, you're a big super evil character, but you know, you're able to lead me on enough, even though I know this whole time you're gonna turn out to be the villain. Oh God, that sneeze is coming back to me. Even though I know you're gonna become the villain, you're really leading me on. You're doing a pretty good job with this because you're so charismatic because you're Kurt freaking Russell. But when he does get evil, he gets evil.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it's not just like, I'm going to be evil for no reason. He's like, I live for freaking ever, all right? And I don't want to do that alone. But at the same time, I'm going to be around forever. I might as well be everything. I am the perfect being. It would make sense that I'm everything. And it's like, you get that this is an immortal who went freaking crazy. But at the same time, he needs someone else around. Like the moment when he is trying to kill Star-Lord, it's like, this isn't the way it had to be. I didn't want to do this alone. It was like, wow, you really do kind of get like, this is a guy who just got lonely after all these years. Like, when you look at why he would abduct Mantis for no reason at all, you're like, I get it because A, you really just wanted someone to talk to. You got that bored, but also she has the ability to put people to sleep. You're just tired. You've been around all this time. Of course you would get the person who can make you rest.
Yeah, it's like you've been around for like millions of years and like creating this entire planet, so of course you're going to be exhausted from all of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and also it's like, man, you just seen too much. You're just tired. So yeah, I thought that they did a great job with Ego. I thought that he nailed that. So yeah, he's going to be one of the better Marvel villains. But speaking of like all the weird geeky references in here, when it comes to Marvel space stuff, I know a bit, but there is really detailed backstories to almost everything in Marvel space, and I was always more of a down-to-earth guy when it came to the Marvel stuff. So I know the Marvel space stuff, but I don't really know all the big details of it. But there were so many small things in here that I kept picking up on. I'm like, this is really damn cool they're setting up. Because I knew Sylvester Stallone was in here, but I had no idea who he played. But when he popped up, I was like, is that who I think it is? And at the end of the film, yeah, it totally is. Because for anybody who doesn't know, the Guardians of the Galaxy that we know now, with Star-Lord and Rocket and all that, they're not the original Guardians. The original Guardians came up back in like the 70s, I want to say, and they were a team of characters from like the 30th century. Like they were a long time in our future, and they had no connection back to the Guardians of the present. Like they just decided to keep the name around. But yeah, so the original Guardians, it was a totally different team of people. And then when Sylvester Stallone comes in, and he's got these weird, like, little glowy things on his shoulders, like, it kind of looks like, I can't remember his name, but like, Nighthawk, Darkhawk, something, Starhawk, that was it. That kind of looks like Starhawk from the original Guardians. Is that who he's supposed to be? And one of the guys in his team is a guy who's like completely made of crystals, and it's like, there was a guy completely made of crystals in the original film, and then at the end, when all the Ravagers show up, all of them show up, and there's like this one giant dude in there, I was like, is that Charlie 27 from the original Guardians? And then at the end, like you see, he goes, it's good that we finally assembled our team together. It's sad that it took the death of Yondu, because that was the one thing from the original film that I found interesting, is that Yondu was one of the original Guardians of the Galaxies. He had no connection to Star-Lord at all before this. They just threw him in there as like a reference to the original Guardians. So when they were like, it took the death of one of our own to bring us all together, I was like, so you got Starhawk, you got the Diamond Guy, you got Charlie 27, you were saying that Yondu was one of the original guys, and then he's like, the team's back together again. I was like, oh my god, you assembled the original Guardians of the Galaxy. That's going to be the third film. The original Guardians in this. That's actually really darn dope. I did recognize two of them though. The one that was just ahead, and the one that was like some lizard thing like creating thumbs up there. I was like, I didn't recognize them. But like I said, I know squat about the original Guardians. I just know they existed, and I know some of their names. But I was like, that is just an awesome thing to do. But the big geek reference in here, them finally confirming the Stan Lee as a Watcher thing. At least I think so. Maybe he like works for the Watchers or something, because like he still had to wear a spacesuit up there. And he was the only one talking. But I was stunned to see that, because I was like, I thought if I had to place money on it, I would have said the Watchers can never be in a Marvel film because Fox owns them, because they're probably part of the Fantastic Four. But Ego was part of the Fantastic Four, but they had to go and negotiate the rights to, God, what the hell was her name? Nuclear Team Warhead from Deadpool. And the thing that Marvel asked in exchange for that was Ego the Living Plant. And one other thing, and I didn't know what that one other thing was, and it turned out it was the Watchers. And I'm like, man, that is awesome that we now have the Watchers in this.
Yeah.
Because the thing that always made the Watcher cool in the old comics is that whenever stuff got big, whenever it was like, this is the worst of the worst, you just have the Watcher standing there in the background. Like, he was always that symbol that, no, this is the real big stuff. And now the thing is like, you got Avengers Infinity coming up. It's all about, this is what you've all been leading up to. This will just make it even better if at the end of all, if like during the big fight scene, there's just like a brief glimpse of the Watcher way in the background, just for all the fans to go, oh my God! So yeah, I love that.
It's just sad seeing all these Marvel characters being divided up by different companies, and
God.
Yeah, it's like watching divorced parents share custody over their children. It's and
it's really just upsetting that it's like, don't you guys get it? You would make more money if you worked together. And like, here's the thing, Disney gets it. Disney made that offer to Sony for Spider-Man, and Sony, after failing so many times, finally took them up on it. But they made that same offer to Fox, and Fox was like, no, fuck you. No, we're not doing this. And the sad thing was, Fox was kind of starting to suck for a little bit there with their X-Men films. But then they brought in Deadpool and Logan, and it's like, man, you are never losing this franchise. You are going to hold on, because even when you make flops, you will then turn out something really good that sells really well right after that. So it's going to be a while before we can get the X-Men back.
Yeah.
But they won't even give up Fantastic Four, and it's like, dude, you suck with Fantastic Four, and it loses you tons of cash.
Yeah, please, at least just give up Fantastic Four. You can keep Deadpool and X-Men.
You're doing all right. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, but please.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, A, they want to do it out of spite for Disney because they have just such a negative relationship with Disney, but also at the same time, they do not want to give something over to Disney that Disney will then make into a massive success, and then they look over at the billions that Disney brings in and goes, damn it, if only we had done that. They're like, we are going to screw this up as many times as it takes in order to finally get this right. It's like, you're not getting this right.
Please, just swallow your pride.
It's also like, I really do want to go back and watch this all over again just to like catch all like the little other hints in there, because like there's a moment in which they're like jumping from portal to portal and you see like some big guy beating another guy on like a tiny planet, and I was like, that has to be something. That has to be somebody that I missed.
Yeah, that was a thing that sort of bothered me. Like, but like the faces they made during the Hydro.
They go full Daddy Roth during that thing. It's like, I expected them to do like one of those like it was Big Daddy Roth was the name of it, I think, where it's like those monster guys in trucks with the face like, ah. It's like, that's what Rocket was kind of looking like.
It's like that app, it's like that phone app where you take a picture, like record yourself and your face gets all weird. It's like somebody like thought that would be a great idea to shove in the movie for no reason, and it's like,
I don't know, I was okay.
I don't know, I thought it was a bit forced.
Okay.
But another thing I kind of felt was forced is the Dairy Queen, but it was not as bad.
It wasn't as bad.
It was not as bad as the Krispy Kreme and Power Rangers.
I immediately went to Krispy Kreme Power Rangers. Like, the thing is, like, yeah, product placement is one of my least favorite things in these films. Like, I have no problem with them having a Sony Walkman in there, because, like, all right, it's got to be some brand of Walkman, so fine, pick something. But at the same time, like, the Dairy Queen one, I was like, okay, this is a little bit of product placement.
Yeah.
I get this in here. But I was like, all right, that was the one thing, I'll let it slide.
Yeah.
So, okay. Oh, God, that scene is coming back on me. We should be wrapping this up. Okay, so, yeah. Also, one other thing. Did it feel like you thought Baby Groot was going to be in this way more than he was?
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, because they're advertising the crap out of him. You've pretty much seen the scenes that he's in. The scene with him in the bomb, the scene with him like dancing and waving at the team at the beginning when they're fighting, and there's one thing that you haven't seen where he's trying to steal this prototype fin for Yondu to wear. I'm like, that's really it. Like, you really didn't do squat with him, and like he barely even says "I am Groot" in this.
Yeah, and then in like one of the post-scene
mid-credits.
Mid-credits, yes, mid-credits. You actually like see Groot being a teenager, and it's like, oh, so I guess
Baby Groot's gone.
Yep, he's gone.
Which I'm okay with, because I wanted it to be Groot.
I know, but it's like it just felt like a sudden jump.
Yeah, like, didn't you expect, like, by the end of this film, he'd be more like, you know, like, maybe go from this to this, like, get a little bit bigger, but,
Yeah, 'cause, like,
yeah, he just instantly is now a teenager.
Yeah, because, like, in, you know, at the end of the first film, he was, like, still, like, a little, sprout in, like, his, little, pot. But then, you see him, like, he's a bit bigger, and then, so it's like, I was expecting to be, like, I don't know, a kid instead of a toddler? Not actual teenager? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, okay, well, but at the same time, like, they don't want to have teenage Groot in the next one. They want it to be Groot again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I get the big
I guess so.
But yeah, it really feels like they advertised like Baby Groot was going to be all over this. And like not really. No.
They even had dancing Baby Groot toys. So.
Oh, yeah. They realize where the money is, but I mean, it is so just like, he is not in this like you thought he was going to be.
It's just like the pig in Moana.
Yeah, it really is. Look at this pig. This pig is going to be your new favorite thing. We're going to sell all these stories of pigs. 5 minutes in the movie. Fuck that pig. That pig is nowhere to be seen in the rest of this film. It's all about that chicken. So yeah, in the end, I really like this film. I would give it a solid B.
Yeah.
Like, really solid B. It was a good time in the theater, even though the guys behind us in the theater were trying their hardest to ruin it for us. There were some guys that came in right before the film started, and they were talking loud, and they were laughing like Drax at this thing, like, I was like, I think that's a comedy, but dude, that is just, you're like doing that at everything. And then there just came a moment halfway through this film where I just started going, and then I turned to you,
and I was like,
and then I went, that's pot. Someone is smoking pot in this theater really close to us. And I don't want to point fingers at the guys behind us, but it's coming behind us, and there's only one row behind us. It seriously can't be anyone other than them.
And that would definitely explain all the laughing and all this stupid behavior.
Dude, you're watching a film starring a guy with a giant fin mohawk and like a talking raccoon and a talking tree. It's like, what on earth made you go, well, this clearly can't be enjoyed unless I'm on some kind of a substance right now. I was like, go fuck yourself.
Honestly.
Go fuck yourself. And it's like, it was one of those things where everyone in the theater was playing that mental game of, we all know this is happening, but none of us want to leave this movie. We all want to keep watching the movie. So who's going to be the one to go and report? And thankfully someone, I think it was the person next to you, because she got up, left, and he came back. And then a little bit later, a security guard came in, and he just stood right next to us, did this, and then left. And I was like, you're not even going to shine the flashlight, you asshole. Like, you can smell this. It is clearly happening. So, yeah, that was, I had crap going into this film, and we had crap during it.
Yeah.
But the film itself, pretty darn good. And the thing that really made that work for me, the thing that made me go from like, yeah, this is all right, to, you know what, it's good. I'll give it the full-on thumbs up, great film, is the stuff with Yondu there at the end. Like, when it gets into the father figure stuff, I thought it was great. I thought they nailed it. So yeah, they made this work there at the end where they really needed to. But as we said, just a couple small complaints.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you come back next time. As I said, I will be having a review of this later this week. And what the hell is coming up next week? King Arthur. Jesus. Okay. So if you guys want to see us review a piece of crap, because everybody who has seen that has come out going, this thing is one of the worst things I've seen this year. So that should be a fun review. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you come back next time. Bye.